You can't even cook a meal, you trash. Go freeze in the backyard. With that, James shut the window and locked it. I immediately ran to the window. Please! Open it! I begged as I pounded on the window, but James just grinned and drew the curtains. I began to shiver from the cold. I could feel my body, which had been warmed by the heater until just a moment ago, rapidly losing its warmth. What am I gonna do? If it continues this way, even my baby inside me. Just as I was on the verge of passing out from the intense cold and shock, a savior extended a hand to me and was like, "Are you okay?" The next day, I returned home with him. In the yard, James was freezing, naked. When I was staring in shock at the sight, Liam stepped forward. "That was what you said, wasn't it? If you can't even cook properly, then freeze outside." Liam spoke to James with a cold gaze and tone. James, shivering in the yard, couldn't even reply properly. "I'll call an ambulance out of the goodness of my heart. Emily, you want to say anything to him before it arrives?" Nodding in response to his words, I took a step closer to James. "My name is Emily Smith. I'm a 28-year-old homemaker. My mother passed away due to an illness shortly after I started working. My father, following her, suddenly died of a heart attack. Being an only child, I was left completely alone. The loneliness was unbearable, but I distracted myself by immersing myself in work." "Emily, are you okay? You seem to be pushing yourself." The one who reached out to me during that time was my husband, James. He had a way of comforting my grieving heart, always there to support me when I was crying alone. Then, once I had somewhat recovered, he pursued a relationship. And after dating for a few years, we got married. "Wow, we're so pleased to have such a lovely young woman join our family." "Yes, for James, he's brought home quite a nice young lady." After our wedding, I started living with James' family. We got along very well. "Emily, I saw on TV the other day that there's a new cafe near the train station. Let's go together sometime." "Yes, I'd love to." I particularly hit it off with my mother-in-law, and we go out for a meal together once a week. I also get along well with my father-in-law, who loves to cook, and we've cooked together in the kitchen several times. I'm glad you're getting along with my family. But isn't my younger brother a bit of a handful? Oh, not at all. It's true that I don't talk much with Liam, my brother-in-law. Since he works from home, he often stays in his room. But I was interested in his work, and when I asked about it, he explained it to me in detail. So I've been getting along well with James' family. A few years after we got married, I became pregnant with James' child. Given the severity of my morning sickness, I decided to quit my job. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, don't push yourself. This wasn't just my decision. I discussed it thoroughly with James' family. In fact, the earnings of both James and Liam are enough for us to live on, and I also have savings. Besides, my father-in-law works, and my mother-in-law has a part-time job, so there's no problem with me quitting. Man, pregnant women have it good. They don't have to work and no one complains. Lately, though, James has been complaining about this. James was also present during our discussions, and at the time he was the first to suggest I should quit. Just a freeloader without a job. Acting all high and mighty. Who's acting high and mighty? When did I ever order you around? I'm the one cleaning up the clothes you leave around, you know? That being said, I've always been a competitive person, and I would always prove James wrong. You should have spoken up during our discussions if you had complaints. Exactly. It was you who brought it up, James. Right. Instead of complaining, take care of your own responsibilities. Because my parents-in-law agree with me and side with me, James feels isolated. Liam and James don't get along very well, so Liam never takes James' side. James looks down on me because I work from home. He doesn't listen to me and doesn't consider me a help at all. That's what Liam murmured. That's why Liam doesn't even join such conversations. James doesn't like this situation, and when we're alone, he complains even more. Just because my family likes you doesn't mean you should get too cocky. I'm not getting cocky. Everyone is just being reasonable. Even if it were just the two of us, I never lost to James. But once the morning sickness kicked in, I lost the energy to even argue. Pregnancy isn't an illness. If you're not working, you're no different from a bomb. I agree it's not a disease. But Emily is risking her life to nurture another. That's work in itself. Then, Liam stepped in to help. Whenever James complained to me, Liam would immediately come to my aid and report to his parents. While James was being scolded by his parents, Liam took care of me. At this rate, it's hard to tell who the real father is. I muttered, rubbing my belly. Well, with my in-laws keeping an eye on things, I hoped James would change eventually. Until that time, I trusted James. Oh, James hasn't returned yet? Seems like it. Then, all of a sudden, James started coming home late. He said it was due to overtime, but I wasn't sure if that was true. Even on his days off, he was like, "Got called into work. I'm busy, so I'm gonna stay at the office." Sometimes he didn't return home at all. Honestly, I started to suspect James was cheating. So did his parents. We tried to gather evidence together, but it was hard to catch him in the act. He only seemed to be at the office, and there was no sign of any particular woman. Well, we can't really know what's going on inside the company. I asked one of the junior employees, but she said there's nothing unusual. Oh. Hey, Emily, don't push yourself. Around that time, my morning sickness got so severe that I couldn't do any household chores. But my father-in-law took care of the cooking, and my mother-in-law handled the other chores. Liam also pitched in, so everything was fine. Aren't you ashamed? Huh? Lying around all day, not doing any housework, even though you're a homemaker. What's the point of you even being here? James, having seen his parents doing the housework, woke me up in the middle of the night just to say that. When I was frowning, Liam retorted like, "That's not something someone who's not doing his part as a husband should be saying. Every single time, you defy me, even though I'm the eldest. Well, you're not exactly the kind of brother I can look up to. You've always been such a smartass." The argument between the brothers escalated, and just before it turned into a physical fight, the commotion was heard by their parents who intervened to stop them. After hearing the situation, they scolded James. "That's enough. Do whatever you want." "Wait, James! Where are you going?" Without answering me, James left. "I'm really sorry about that fool. We truly apologize." In place of James, they apologized to me, and the matter was settled there. However, James's attitude has been getting worse. Something needs to be done soon. I was at a loss for what to do. What should I do? Is everything all right? One Saturday, my mother-in-law and father-in-law had plans to travel for a local event. They had arranged this trip in advance, but they seemed concerned about James's recent behavior. "I'm worried about leaving you behind." "I'm fine. My morning sickness has settled down quite a bit." Even they were quite concerned. I saw them off with a smile and they headed off on a 3-day trip. Around the same time, Liam had some overnight commitments. "I'm sorry for leaving during such a time." "Don't worry about it. Take care and be safe." Not long after my mother-in-law and father-in-law left, Liam departed as well. That day, unusually, James was home, though he was still asleep. I was like, "Well, I've got things to do," and got up. Honestly, I was not feeling my best. But if I just lay around doing nothing, I didn't know what James might say. Thankfully, there were plenty of dishes that my father-in-law had prepped and stored in the fridge. I began cleaning and doing laundry, taking it slow and easy on myself. "Hey, breakfast." "Oh, just woke up?" James finally got up close to noon. With his hair still tousled and a grumpy look on his face, he demanded breakfast. I rolled my eyes and pulled some leftovers from the fridge. "What's that?" "Huh? You mean the leftovers your father made? You, being a homemaker, can't even cook?" That remark irked me. Why do I have to hear this? Does he not realize I'm carrying his child? There's no justification for such a comment. Sorry, right now my job is to take care of my baby in my belly. Adult care has been on the back burner. How dare you talk like that to your husband? Just as James shouted at me, the door was flung open with a bang. Standing there was Liam. I could hear shouting all the way outside. You, shut in. James shot Liam a dirty look and headed back into his room, murmuring some curse words under his breath. Just as I thought James made a noise, he seemed to leave the house. Liam sighed heavily. You okay? Yeah. What brought you here? I came to pick up something I forgot. Saying that, Liam looked at me with a worried expression. I chuckled, thinking how much he resembled his mother. It's okay, you know. Go on, be on your way. I'll be going then. Liam looked back at me hesitantly before finally leaving. I wondered, where did the James the first met back then go? At this rate, a divorce, but I still want to be family with my in-laws. Feeling suddenly exhausted, I decided to lie down. And as I closed my eyes, I drifted into a deep sleep. Emily, time to wake up. Oh. As I hurriedly sat up, I met James's eyes, who was giving me a wry smile. I must have dozed off completely. I'm gonna get an earful from James again. I'd let you sleep, but it's already evening, he said, surprising me with his gentle tone. My eyes widened in shock. James was like, I've prepared dinner, so when you're up, come join me. With that, he left the room. There was a blanket over me, and I couldn't help but wonder if James had covered me. I headed to the kitchen. I found my father-in-law's dishes already warmed up, ready to eat. I'm sorry, Emily. James was like, when I heard we were having a child, I was ecstatic. But then, I felt so overwhelmed, and I took it out on you. This is my way of saying sorry. James presented a cake. Honestly, this gesture wouldn't erase all of James's past behaviors. But him apologizing genuinely warmed my heart. For now, I decided to let it go and enjoy our meal together. Hey, look! It's starting to snow. Oh, you're right. Let's go take a closer look. Saying that, James headed towards the porch. Watching his childlike excitement, I chuckled and followed him. The sight of the white snow falling against the backdrop of the night was indeed beautiful. As I came from an area where it rarely snowed, this scene felt fresh to me. Without thinking, I moved closer to the window. Let's open the window. No, it's gonna be cold. Just put on a jacket and you'll be fine. As he draped a jacket over me and opened the window, the chilly wind rushed in. Just as I was bracing myself against the cold, James tugged at my arm. Huh? Before I knew it, I was outside. Turning around, there was James, grinning mischievously. You're a homemaker, and yet you don't do the housework? That makes you a failure as a wife. Reflect on that tonight. Excuse me? What are you talking about? You can't even cook a meal, you trash. Go freeze in the backyard. With that, James shut the window and locked it. I immediately ran to the window. Please! Open it! I begged as I pounded on the window, but James just grinned and drew the curtains. I began to shiver from the cold. I could feel my body, which had been warmed by the heater until just a moment ago, rapidly losing its warmth. What am I gonna do if it continues this way, even my baby inside me? Just as I was on the verge of passing out from the intense cold and shock, a savior extended a hand to me and was like, Are you okay? He immediately put me in the car. Why are you out here at this time of night? The one who helped me was Liam. Liam had been worried about James, so he came home earlier than planned. The car's heater warmed me up, and I sighed in relief. Liam was like, We should go to the hospital, just in case. He drove me to the hospital. Thanks to Liam's quick response, fortunately, both my baby and I were fine. And while I was being examined, Liam had apparently arranged for a hotel. We were able to stay at the hotel, but Liam left and went somewhere else. I'm so relieved. You're gonna be a strong baby, aren't you? Feeling reassured that I've arrived at the hotel, I rubbed my belly. I was so glad nothing happened. I was exhausted, so as soon as I lay down on the bed, I fell asleep. Oh, Emily. Are you okay now? Yes, completely. Thank you so much. No worries. Shall we go? The next day, I returned home with him. In the yard, James was freezing, naked. When I was staring in shock at the sight, Liam stepped forward. That was what you said, wasn't it? If you can't even cook properly, then freeze outside. Liam spoke to James with a cold gaze and tone. James, shivering in the yard, couldn't even reply properly. I'll call an ambulance out of the goodness of my heart. Emily, you want to say anything to him before it arrives? Nodding in response to his words, I took a step closer to James. It's because of you that our baby was almost in grave danger. I will never forgive you. Just you wait. Then James was taken to the hospital, and I asked Liam what had happened last night. After dropping me off at the hotel, Liam sneaked back home alone. At home, he found James sleeping in the living room stripped down, and a woman who appeared to be his mistress was there as well. He brought his mistress home thinking we wouldn't be around. And with you locked out, he seemed pretty confident. Liam, burning with rage, apparently threw James out of the house in his birthday suit. Liam was like, now see who's the real trash. Think about it all night. He then grilled the shocked mistress for information, got evidence, and forcibly sent her back to her place. It turns out she also had a family, and by the time he informed them of everything, dawn was approaching. He took a short nap in the car and then came to pick me up. That's how it all went down. I've spoken to my parents. They said they're gonna come home today. He told me with a gentle smile and stayed by my side until they returned. It's gonna be okay now. Liam, thank you so much. Nah, I just did what had to be done. Thanks to him, I could feel safe at home. Emily, I'm so sorry. That idiot, I can't apologize enough. They apologized immediately upon their return and went straight to giving James a piece of their mind. James was forced to pay child support and was then decided to be kicked out. I'm so sorry. It was just a lapse in judgment. Emily, I truly love only you. But as James clung to me, I ignored him. As if it's just me. I wish he'd stop taking me for a fool. Don't look at me like that. Suddenly, James flared up, raising his hand at me. Enough is enough. My damn son! Liam grabbed and twisted James's arm. With the intervention of my father-in-law, James was easily overpowered. Emily! I really just lost my mind for a moment. Emily! I watched him being thrown out by the two men, all the while being held by my mother-in-law. He was pathetic until the very end. As for James, that's all I ever thought. By the way, Liam's pretty strong, isn't he? Considering what just happened, and the way he tossed a full-grown man outside. I was genuinely surprised by Liam's strength. Oh, yeah? He used to do combat sport back in the day. I definitely wouldn't use a move on an amateur, though. Liam, who had returned, said this with a refreshing smile. I couldn't help but feel a flutter in my heart at his smile, and my mother-in-law laughed upon noticing. With such good looks and strength, it's almost surprising he doesn't have a girlfriend. Oh, hush. Seeing him look away bashfully after my mother-in-law's remark, I couldn't help but find it endearing. From then on, I decided to stay and be cared for in my in-laws' home since I had no family or reliable person to turn to. If you'd allow, I'd love to hold your baby. Of course, anytime. Right now, the four of us are eagerly awaiting the birth of my precious baby. Upon talking to Liam, it turns out that James' affair was with a junior from his office. No wonder she wouldn't spill the beans when asked. The two of them were sneaking around and getting cozy at various spots. Once I reported it to the junior's husband, he did a thorough investigation. With that evidence, my divorce process went smoothly. Both of them got fired for fooling around during work hours and for claiming their dates as business expenses. The reason I know this is, James came back to his family's home begging like, Please! Forgive me! While shouting these words, he came seeking my help, but his family was like, How dare you showing up? Don't you dare burden Emily anymore! Never show your face here again! And with that, my entire in-laws family chased him off. Amidst all this, I found myself drawn to Liam, who was more reliable than anyone. Thank you for all the help. Well, it's only natural to want to help someone you love, right? Wait, what? Oops. Liam's face turned beet red, and seeing him like that made me blush too. Then I found out that Liam had had feelings for me for quite some time. Liam was like, Everyone seems to dislike it when I talk about my job, but only Emily really listened to me. Seeing you appreciate my words. But, you were my brother's wife, so I always thought I should keep these feelings hidden. With that, he looked down, and I found myself doing the same. Who would have thought he felt that way about me? To be honest, I'm not looking to be with someone like that right now. I figured. But, if you can wait a little. I want to respond to those feelings. He suddenly looked up at my words. And he beamed a radiant smile at me. All right. I'm gonna give it my all to win you over. Oh. I'll brace myself then. By the way, our conversation was fully witnessed by his parents, and dinner was quite a feast. Finally, Liam has a girlfriend. Knock it off. Seeing his overjoyed mother, Liam blushed deeply and retorted. Both his father and I exchanged glances and laughed. Afterwards, I gave birth to a beautiful daughter, right on schedule. She's so adorable. Congratulations. She really looks like Emily, so cute. She's gonna be a heartbreaker. No man's gonna be able to resist. I wouldn't want to let her go. Liam said, and both his parents chided like, You're getting ahead of yourself. I couldn't help but smile at Liam, who was fully in dad mode. Liam continued to be very supportive of me, and was actively involved in child rearing. His parents were the same. Whenever I turned around, someone was always there looking out for my daughter, allowing me to raise her with peace of mind. And 100 days after finalized my divorce with James. I want to be her father. Please, marry me. Like your parents said, you're getting ahead of yourself. Oh, so dating first, right? Either way is fine with me. Liam's face lit up at my words. However, this was repeatedly followed by some good-natured teasing from my mother-in-law, who had seen everything. Meanwhile, James, after being fired, paid back the money he embezzled in one lump sum. Word is, he borrowed from some shady folks. And now he's gone missing, taken away by some menacing-looking men. Well, wherever he is, whatever he's up to, I just wish him the best. My in-laws are over the moon with their granddaughter, showing no concern about James. Liam probably doesn't even remember James existed. Years later, I happily remarried Liam. Our daughter calls him daddy, and Liam is absolutely smitten with her. The second one's gonna be a boy. Yeah? I mean, if he takes after me, that's cool, but a boy who looks like Emily would be awesome too. In my belly, I'm carrying our second child. Our daughter is super excited about becoming a big sister. Now, the entire family is brainstorming names. Looks like our daughter's suggestion might win though. I'm gonna make Emily, our daughter, and the new baby happy. You better include yourself in that too, you know? We plan to live happily ever after. All 6 of us, living in harmony and having fun. That's the promise Liam and I have made. We're looking forward to going out as a family once this baby is born.